What if I told you that there is one part of you, the most important part of you, that is worth listening to, that is worth trusting, and that you don't have to be afraid of? I'm going to share with you soon this one message that I received that really gave me the confidence to trust in myself more, to not be afraid of myself anymore. Where did it come from? And who gave this message to me? About 4 years ago, I was standing in this room and I heard the most important message come through. I can't remember the specifics of what I was going through at the time, but knowing me, I was more than likely looking for answers, probably wallowing in my own shit like I always did, still believing that I was not good enough, that I was not worthy enough, all of that stuff that I've already talked about. But for me, feeling and thinking all of that stuff, I genuinely believed that that was who I was, that I was going to be that way for the rest of my life, that I couldn't change it. I wasn't capable of changing it, and I didn't know how to change it. So that day, very clearly, almost actually in this exact spot, I think I was just wondering aloud, I was thinking, I was trying to get some answers, and this message came through to me. And it said, you can change anything that you don't like about yourself. And I was like, okay, that was crazy, because it didn't feel like it came from the normal places. So I sat with it for a bit. I thought about it, and I didn't want to dismiss it, but I didn't entirely believe it, because I did believe so wholeheartedly that I was the way I was, and I was never ever going to be able to move away from that. I couldn't change any of it. That's who I was. I was a grown up now. I'd become that. I desperately didn't want to be that, but that's just who I was. That was my lot in life, and I couldn't do anything about it. But this message, it changed all of that. It took a little while, but it has stayed with me for a very long time. I have kept it with me since then. I have believed in it more and more, because you can change anything that you don't like about yourself. It's not an easy task, but it is absolutely possible. And hearing that message made me kind of stand up and, I guess, wake up almost to the possibilities that are out there, the possibilities within myself to become what I'd always wanted to become. I'd always had this vision of myself that I was never able to reach. I wanted to be her so desperately. But, as I said, I thought I was always going to be that, so how could I ever become that? And it made me feel hopeful. I think for the first time in a long time, it made me feel hopeful that it was possible for me to get rid of all of those horrible, horrible thoughts and feelings that I'd carried with myself for decades. They literally were in every cell of my being. I became them so much that being without them, I didn't know how to be without them. Before I'd heard that message, I had begun to explore ways of changing myself, but that belief was too strong and I was never really able to begin the integration. When I heard that message, that was when this whole world opened up to me, a world that I have sensed. I've always felt that there was something more. And hearing that message was, I guess, the key to opening that door to all of that, to discovering so much more about myself, so much more about our world, our universe, what is out there. I don't have all the answers. I really don't know it all, but I'm discovering a lot. And yes, there are parts of me that go, maybe that's not true. Maybe all of it's just a big scam. It's just false. How can that even be possible? But that's when you trust. You trust the feelings that are inside of you. But it all started with just one little video that I watched, opening myself up to more of what was inside of me and how to change what was inside of me. And then that led me to something else, and then something else. I listened to Abraham Hicks. I've never been religious, but I did believe that Jesus was a person here on earth, that story, in my opinion, may have just got blown out of proportion in lots of different ways, that God isn't this entity that stands over you and just tells you everything that you did wrong and wants you to be afraid of him or her or them. But I always, as I said, I always felt that there was something more, that there was something more to who I was. So it's led me down a very interesting path, getting to know myself in that way as well. I have chosen to start believing more in what is out there. I've started believing more in myself, which leads me to the most important part, and that is your loving voice. Now, there are lots of different names. It's your soul, it's your divine guidance, it's your inner being. Many people call it many different things because that's what they believe in. Is it wrong? No, of course not. It is what you believe in. It is what you feel for yourself. For me, I decided to call it my loving voice because it is that part of me that wants nothing but the best for me. It is that part of me that I can trust, even when I'm not entirely trusting in myself. I get to listen to this part of myself and know that it only wants the best for me. It loves me. It wants to guide me and direct me to these things that I want to be, do, and have. In my exploration of trying to find all of the answers and figuring myself out and figuring this world out and why we're here and all of that stuff, and as I said in one of the previous videos, I have a fascination with human nature. So I've listened to a lot of people, YouTube videos, and read books, and just done a lot of exploring and found information. At times, it becomes overwhelming. It does get too much. There is information overload. So I do have to take a step back. But that's when I trust myself to go, hang on a second, this is getting a little too much and we need to take a step back. We just need to take a breath. We need to take a breather, just chill out. I love to learn, but we also need to just relax and take a break and just live life. So this has happened a few times over these past few years where I have just learnt, give me all the information, and I just take it all on board and I read, and I listen, and then I feel too heavy, I feel too weighed down by it all. And then I just, as I said, I take a step back and I just take a breather and, I'll go and do other things and not try and take on too much. But I've read I've read some fascinating books about our souls and what they do when they're up there and how they come into us humans and like all that sort of stuff. And it's fascinating and I love it. But what it was doing was, I was going to say dictating. It was really just in everything that I saw, in everything that I thought. Okay, because I want to know why we are the way we are and what we do and how we think and how we feel and the entirety of who we are on this earth. You know, when someone does something, I'm always questioning why. And that gets overwhelming. So I've had to let all of that information go and just trust in this one part of myself more than anything else. I don't have to constantly know it all and be aware of it all and question it all so that I can know more. Because that's too much for one person to carry the weight of the universe on their shoulders and how it works and why it works and all of that stuff. So trusting in this one most important part of me, my loving voice, brings me back to who I am in all of this. And still being aware of everybody else, because another wonderful human trait is that we are selfish, and we often use that as a bad thing. But we are here for our own reasons, our own wants and desires. And when you've got a few people together and this one wants this and this one wants that, that's when things clash. Because we all want what we want. But it's not a bad thing. But it can cause tension sometimes. So finding your way through that can be tough while discovering yourself, but also being aware of other people's needs and what their wants and desires are, and being in relationships with people. That's kind of the tough part, when you're you in all of your you-ness as they are as well. It's just finding that happy medium to suit both people. And again, that comes down to trusting yourself to be yourself and be that kind person and loving person and gracious person, and just giving people their space, giving yourself space to relax and just trust yourself in every step that you take throughout the day. If you were finding this video helpful, then please share it with someone you know who may also need to hear it. And thank you so much for subscribing to Love Body Woman for more ways to listen, learn, and love. And how I know the difference between the different parts of myself. So as I've talked about, there is obviously the thoughts and the feelings inside of us, the mean and nasty thoughts. There's the ego part, who is not bad either, but it does want certain things that make us behave in certain ways that aren't true to who we really are, to that kind and loving part of ourselves. So it's knowing that that is a part of you, that is there, that it's never going to 100% go away, that you're always going to have some kind of thought come in that wants to prevent you from doing what you want to do, that your ego will do its best to redirect you back into the safety zone, back into what's comfortable and familiar. But when you do that, when you go back into that comfortable and familiar, when you pay attention to the thoughts that are running around in your head telling you why you can't, why you shouldn't, why you mustn't, how does that make you feel? and this is what I've learned about myself by doing all of these things, is that that doesn't make me feel good. When I want to do something and I may not feel excited, I may not feel like, yes, this is absolutely what I need to be doing. I may be apprehensive about it because of, there might be confidence issues, or I don't trust myself sometimes, or, of course, you've got these other bits coming in as well. But yet there is a part of you is like, yes, this is where I want to be going. So this is what feels right. It's what feels good. It might be scary. You might be afraid. You might be apprehensive. But the difference is this just makes you feel like shit. And it makes you go, oh, why can't I have that? I really want to do this. This is where I want to go. But no, this over here says that you can't. Again, it's that angel and devil on your shoulder. The angel's going, yes, you can have this. You can do this. You can be this. This is where you can go. It's okay for you to go there. This is going to bring you joy and happiness and pleasure and give you growth and learning and all of the good stuff that you want. It's not always 100% good, because sometimes bad things creep in as well, because, life happens. So we can't ever think that it's always going to be 100% perfect. But when you got all this going on and it feels really, really just so very wrong, but over here feels very right, this one always seems to have the most pull. It always pulls you away, especially if you've allowed it to do that all the time, which is certainly what I have done most of my life. But now, after doing the things that I've already shared with you in this video, in the last couple of videos, and what I will share with you in the next video, that has really given me the trust in myself to know which way to go. Doing these videos scares the shit out of me. I have honestly attempted these things so many times. I have videos already on my YouTube channel that haven't really gone anywhere. I have been building my business for many years. And it's scary. It's hard. It's all that familiar and comfortable stuff that keeps trying to pull me away from doing what I know feels right. This feels right. I question whether I'm doing it in the right way, whether I'm coming across as I would like to come across, whether the information I'm giving is enough, whether you'll like it. I have all those doubts. But yet, I keep being pulled in this direction to do this. I want to give up so many times, but my loving voice has continued to help me through it. My loving voice has continued to guide me and direct me and give me new ideas, like these series of videos that I am planning to do, many of them after this one. There's going to be many different topics. So instead of just doing one video about one thing, I'm going to turn them all into a series. And the thing, when I got that inspiration just a few days ago, it felt really good. It was a little scary, and of course those thoughts came in that said, oh no, God, not again. Here's another thing that I'm going to fail at. Should I even bother? But that feeling of excitement and like, yes, you know what, I actually really like this idea, that has brought me to actually doing it, to standing here talking to you and doing it. I don't know where it's going to go, but I trust. I am trusting, and I keep trusting. It's when all of this other stuff kind of comes into the equation that things can fall apart a little bit. And it's challenging. It is challenging. I'm going to be completely honest with you there. Sometimes life is just challenging, and it really does depend on all of who you are. But that's when you get to go within again and figure it out. Acknowledge, yes, I feel this way. I had certain feelings this morning about a couple of situations, and instead of wallowing in my own shit, going into my depressive hole like I would always do, I talked it out. I got on my phone and I talked it out. I got it all out of me. And because I've done that many times and I know that it really does help me to feel better, I trust that process. And I'm not afraid to speak anymore like I used to be. I was so afraid to speak, to open up, to share my feelings, to share anything that was inside of me. That has been a big one. I didn't acknowledge any of my feelings. I didn't want to admit that they were there. I didn't want to admit that I was hurt and that I was in pain and that I was feeling really, really bad. But doing that now, acknowledging that these couple of things actually made me feel really upset, has helped me to work through them, to help let them go. So when you say things out loud or when you write them down, it helps those thoughts to become more succinct for you to then, I don't know, it's like, well, it comes from your loving voice. It comes from that other part of you, that loving part of you that helps to guide you through it and to help you realize how you're feeling, why you're feeling that way, and gives you a solution. Whether that solution is simply acknowledging it and then letting it go, or you really do need to find some answers in how to rectify what's going on. Your loving voice does that. That is the most important part of you, because they can do so much for you, to help you, to make you trust again in not just yourself, but everything, and to become that person that you have been afraid to become. This process of trusting yourself and becoming who you have been afraid to become, it is all trial and error. It's figuring out what is right for you. I want to share all of this information with you and my experiences with all of it, with changing everything that I haven't liked about myself. I get to share all of that with you as a way of, yes, opening yourself up, but showing you that there are different ways. That what is most important is that you go in to your soul, that you go within to find what is right for you. Because there's literally a gazillion ways of doing just about anything these days. There's a lot of processes, there's a lot of techniques. A lot of them work, a lot of them don't. Some will work for you, some will not. I've tried out a lot of things and some really work for me and some just don't. I love kinesiology. I love working with my energies. They're the ones that work for me. That may not be for everybody, and that's okay. We have to understand that we are who we are, and hearing about lots of different ways to trust in yourself and then trying them out, seeing if they work. If they don't work, then they don't work. It's not a bad thing. You're not a failure. You just go, okay, that didn't work for me. What else can I try? What will work for me? So we are up against a lot as human beings. We really are. There is so much coming at us, especially these days with all of the social media platforms. Everybody's got an opinion. And I'm not here to say whose opinion is right and whose opinion is wrong. That my opinion is the opinion because I'm sharing it. I'm sharing it because I have learnt a lot. And as I said, I want to show you that there are different ways. If it's not right for you, then it's not right for you. That's okay. It's just a matter of going within and connecting to yourself in a way that feels right for you. I am a fiercely determined person. That's something that I've discovered about myself, especially in this whole process of developing Love Body Woman and bringing her to life. I have wanted to give up so many times, but my loving voice won't let me. They are constantly, or she is constantly guiding me, along with my guides. That's why I say they. They're all guiding me to do this. Sometimes I wonder why I'm doing this. What's the point? But the point is, we all love to learn. We all love to learn from each other and find different ways to live and to be and to grow and learn and to heal, all of that stuff. And we've got a lot to contend with because of all of that there is so much information out there. That's when you trust in yourself to listen to someone, but not automatically buy into what they're saying just because they're saying it. And that's a lovely human trait that we have. Someone says something and we automatically believe what they say because they've said it out loud. And it's not always the case, unfortunately. So that's when trusting yourself and using your feelings as guidance to know whether what they're saying is right for you. As you go through this process of learning to trust yourself and becoming the person that you've been afraid to be, you have got to love yourself. If even just a little bit, there has to be love there because you can't do it without that. And if you can't feel that love, then feel kindness. Just be a little bit kind to yourself as you do this. Because a lot of stuff's going to come up. A lot of stuff will bubble to the surface. And just when you clear that away, there's going to be more stuff. I've gotten cranky with myself a few times, actually, in the last year or so, wondering why I have still felt certain things that I've always felt. And I've got to remind myself that I am digging through a hell of a lot of stuff. A massive mess that I have created within myself. So yes, I've cleared a lot out, but there is still more to clear out. And I don't think that will ever end either, because things will always come up as we experience new things, as we experience new people and have interactions with them. And then they say something and then it triggers something. You're like, oh my God, where did that come from? That's when you're kind to yourself and you're loving to yourself and you question it and you acknowledge it and you be honest about why you're feeling the way you're feeling. Life here on earth is about learning. It's about growing. Yes, it's about loving and being kind as well. It's about having fun and enjoying our life. There's a lot as humans that we need to do to function every day. It can get overwhelming, but listening to yourself, trusting yourself, really kind of narrows it down so we can drown out the noise and listen to only this really very important part of ourselves, our loving voice. In part 4, I will share some easy ways to bring it all together so that you can continue to build the trust within yourself and to become that woman that you deserve to be.